Happy Wednesday. I'm the Gray Strega, and I'm here to give you your daily collective read for today, Wednesday, October 11th, 2023. What do we have coming through in the cards for today? May I please have the first 5 cards in our 5-card spread? First card we are starting our day off with today. We've got 2 cards to start our day off with today, and those 2 cards are... okay, yes, this seems pretty accurate for what we've been seeing. If this card looks familiar, it's because we have been drawing King and Queens of Wands all week in their reversal. It's the only position we've been seeing them in. Communication problems continue to abound right now. I'm going to say this again. I've been saying it all week. I really want everyone right now to be thinking before they speak. I really want you to make sure you think about what you say before you effectively say it right now. Because what we're effectively been seeing throughout, there's been a lot of communication hurdles abounding. The energy right now is incredibly heavy. We've got eclipses coming this weekend. We've got new moon energy showing up. There's a lot of this fractious energy that's in the air, and it's having an impact on planning, articulation, and communication. Specifically right now for the feminine energy, I'm not surprised to see this right now because we did see that even for the energies in partnership yesterday, there was a lot of feeling like you were effectively tiptoeing around each other. Why were you tiptoeing around each other? Well, because we identified that for the masculine and feminine energy a few days ago, even in partnership, there were some buttons hit. There were some triggers that were knocked. There may have been even the discovery of new triggers that one did not necessarily recognize in the partnership prior to this point. It is the observation right now of these that is allowing for a productive path forward. But we see that even for the energies in partnership right now, there is this feeling of trying to navigate or manage or handle something very delicately. Masculine energy has been feeling to a certain extent that they've had to shelve their own needs and their own emotions to a certain extent to be able to be there for the feminine. Feminine, you may be potentially observing this right now in the masculine, which may have even led to a lot of recalibration yesterday, kind of backing up in terms of how you may have reacted to something because you're seeing the masculine energy effectively withdraw to a certain extent, trying to be cautious around you. This is creating a state or space for the feminine right now, bearing in mind that this is not based in gender, but what it feels most aligned to, where the feminine is having a bit of these hurdles continuing to articulate and continue due to the fact that there's anxiety about the reaction point that it's created in the masculine. Feminine is feeling somewhat separate from masculine, even in partnership at this time, because you're effectively seeing that in a way, again, best case scenario, you're identifying or recognizing a masculine that may feel like they're walking a bit on eggshells around you right now. At worst, you may be feeling like the masculine energy is almost avoiding you in partnership entirely right now. This is coming from a space or state of care. The masculine is trying to give the feminine the space that they need, but that could be misinterpreted. We are also identifying right now for the feminine, this is creating a space or state right now, even in partnership, where you are questioning your own plans. You're questioning your own ability to do things. This may be coming through right now with the feeling of a lack of confidence right now. But again, this is due to the fact that feminine right now, even in partnership, is holding themselves to a very high bar. Feminine is working right now on really keeping their focus on what they are trying to achieve and success. And I will point out that one of the things that may be happening right now for the feminine energy in partnership is you are experiencing some level or degree of success that may be making you feel somewhat overwhelmed. It's not the fact that the success isn't here for the feminine right now. It is the anxiety that you're going to mess up the success that you are experiencing. This is doubting of the self. This is having almost what are we calling this? We're going to call this almost like imposter syndrome that the feminine may be feeling and experiencing right now in the wake of some kind of victory or success that you're actively experiencing. This may be requiring a lot of internal work right now for the feminine energy that's in this vibration and capacity. Masculine, you may be seeing this right now or in your feminine energy if you are in partnership at this moment. You may even be feeling right now that you need to really support and bolster a feminine energy, help them recognize the fact that they are not only worthy or deserving of the success that they're experiencing, but they need to have that sense or that level of truly being able to put themselves in a state or space of appreciating it, coming into a place of gratitude. Now, masculine and feminine energy right now that is working to come into partnership This is exactly what we are seeing, that we were experiencing yesterday as it relates to the feminine energy withdrawing potentially from the possibility of partnership. Why are we seeing this right now? Because we have identified that for some of the feminine energy right now that's trying to move into partnership, you have lost your own faith in the possibility or viability of the fact that there could be some point of divine union between you and a masculine energy right now. We recognize that for a lot of the feminine energy, there was a moment of asking the masculine to step forward, to show in some tangible way that their words match their actions. The feminine that has experienced this already is now effectively continuing to move towards divine union. While the other part of the feminine collective, this was the moment of breaking away back into a point of separation, because what we effectively identified is, even for some of that energy right now, if the masculine was coming forward in this way, it was feeling a bit like too little too late, because something about the vacillation point between the time that something was asked for versus what was received, or even identifying that this was only given at the moment that it seemed like you were going to walk away, is creating a feeling of doubt in the feminine. This is that doubt that we're seeing for the feminine energy right now that's still trying to move towards partnership. Because for this feminine energy right now, this is feeling potentially like there is a moment that you are recognizing and seeing that you finally got what you asked for from the masculine. However, it feels potentially like a bit of a hollow victory due to the fact that, again, this isn't necessarily happening on your own timeline, but it was almost pushing the timeline that you were requesting from the masculine in order to receive it. So there we are still seeing that there may be a feeling of success right now, but also some feeling of doubt. Masculine, this may be that moment that we're effectively seeing, because actually right now, the only energy that's probably still in the possibility or potentiality right now of coming into partnership and union was the masculine that effectively came forward and delivered this to the feminine at like kind of the 11th hour, if you will. It was finally being able to activate on what the feminine has been asking you to do at this time. But again, this is a moment that you're feeling the anxiety of not necessarily getting the feminine being in a state or space where they seem happy about it. Why does the feminine not seem happy about it? Because the feminine feels like they had to wait so long. So this could be a masculine trying to articulate to the feminine and saying, I did what you asked me to. We're doing it. We're moving in this place. Like, the success is here. Like, and they're almost trying to show the feminine that they've done this, recognizing that this is now a feminine that's feeling somewhat closed off due to the amount of time it took to get to this space. Masculine and feminine energy that is in separation right now. This is, again, the feminine energy not necessarily moving right now in terms of taking a point of seeking out new opportunities. But this is because the feminine energy is actually looking at their lack of communication towards energy as the benchmark of success at this time. That for the feminine energy that's feeling this right now, this is either feminine energy right now that is trying to move away from masculine energy that's only coming from a space or place of passion, keeping their focus right now on tangible opportunities right now that offer, again, integrity and actual stability. For feminine energy and separation right now, it is the non-communication that is the point of victory. Feminine energy is effectively holding their ground to a certain extent by not speaking right now, recognizing that that itself is the point of victory. That is the benchmark for the feminine. Because feminine, and again, I need to stress this right now, if you're in separation, this is either coming from a state or space where this is either feminine energy not communicating and feeling the victory in terms of not repeating a past pattern, or, and this is where this is why I'm going to say, make sure that you think before you speak today. This is a feminine energy getting what they want to get off their chest, and feeling the victory in doing so, and not really caring how it is taken. So everyone be a little careful right now with your words. With your words, because this can be some pretty triggering energy here if somebody feels vindicated to say or do something, okay? Now, masculine energy in separation today, you may be experiencing this. Masculine energy today, this could be a moment that, again, you're trying to push forward. What are we seeing right now with the masculine energy? Masculine energy in separation right now. This is either you trying to move towards new opportunities, new offers, new potentiality with new energy that you're trying to like take the lessons of the past and move forward from. Having identified now a point of victory and understanding what you need to communicate, the level and degree of openness and authenticity that leads to better results. Even today, though, right now, for masculine energy doing this may be feeling like something about the feminine energy is more closed off and reserved to you today. This could even feel like some of that energy is just not in a space or place where they're very much engaged in terms of making plans or wanting to go forward in this way, because the feminine energy right now has kind of got their hackles raised around some circumstances and situations of the past at this moment. Masculine energy right now, this is potentially having to navigate this. Now, for the other part of the masculine energy right now that is trying to go back to a manifestation of feminine to find a point of victory, this is the struggle point, because you're trying to go towards them right now to say, I've learned what you are trying to tell me. I understand now. I see what we need to change. I understand what I needed to change about how I was approaching you that's going to lead to a better success rate going forward. The problem here is masculine that's doing this recognizes that this could go the other way. That this could either relate to the masculine potentially experiencing a feminine right now that either is choosing not to communicate with them at this time, because again, this is a feminine that's effectively closed off connection with this energy, or this is potentially going to lead, and masculine's almost like walking into something knowing that they're kind of like walking into like a ring of fire here, because they're recognizing that this might open a box on a feminine energy that's still harboring or carrying a lot of that feeling of anger that was not necessarily expressed, given the fact that what is being brought to the feminine is not on the timing that the feminine would have ideally desired, i.e., again, what we're seeing about the separation energy and the energies trying to come into partnership, blending again. Third card in our 5-card spread for today is, oh, thank goodness. We like to see this. We're seeing this card popping up a lot today too. We've been seeing this week. I'm very happy with this card showing up so much, because this is showing a lot of alignment happening for the masculine energy right now. Bearing in mind, this is not based on gender, but what you feel most aligned to. Masculine and feminine energy in partnership right now, this is where we're seeing the support and the security of the partnership really coming into play. Because while there may be a feeling right now of the feminine feeling some frustration, feeling some anxiety on their own self, on their ability to communicate, maybe even trying to recalibrate or recant something that they've said to the masculine over the last few days in partnership, we see here that the masculine energy is doing everything they can to support the feminine, even at this moment that the feminine is feeling a bit at a loss. This is masculine energy that's effectively trying to bolster the feminine's confidence in partnership right now, because this is masculine energy that is found in partnership. The ability to be vulnerable, which has allowed them a level or degree of coming into emotional balance, i.e., balancing their feminine energy and knowing that it is safe to do so. Masculine energy in partnership right now is putting a lot of care and attention in helping the feminine energy recognize their own power, come into a state of confidence, maybe even helping the feminine identify the successes that they've had over the last few months to help bolster them in a moment that their confidence is effectively flagging. Feminine, you are experiencing this right now in partnership from masculine energy if you're in divine union at this time. And this is where we see the beautiful supportive system that the divine union provides, because feminine is getting that boost of energy and support from the masculine that is pushing the feminine into the shared collective victories of the partnership as a whole. Feminine energy is almost feeling like they have a victory, i.e. from the partnership, that allows the feminine to have these moments that even at weakness, they feel like there is a victory that is imminent. Basically, almost like the partnership itself creating a sheltering sky for the feminine as they go through some of these feelings of vulnerability. Now, for masculine and feminine energy that is working to come into partnership right now, this is that bit of that make or break that we saw reaching a bit of a point of conclusion right now, which is, again, a feminine energy that is feeling like they are trying to pull away from the masculine to a certain extent. Why is the feminine energy trying to pull away from the masculine to a certain extent? Because this was a feminine energy that had to wait longer than they had desired to wait to get this from the masculine at this time. This is coming through right now as the feminine feeling, again, a bit closed off, a bit uncertain, a bit trepidatious in terms of opening up to the masculine right now, maybe even being a little bit snappy. Be cautious in terms of how you communicate right now. Because what we're really seeing here is effectively a masculine that's trying to articulate to the feminine and say, I know it took a while to come to this point. I recognize that. But I also, the reason I am coming towards you at this time is because I'm opening up on an emotional level. This is the feminine energy that if they are seeing this right now, they are recognizing the vulnerability that it effectively takes for the masculine to offer this. And this is potentially a masculine energy that is being very emotionally open right now as it relates to their feelings. And this is what's helping the feminine energy feel. And again, this is going to be that point where we're still seeing that point of uncertainty. This is still in its reversal. But this is almost giving a space or place where the feminine energy, while they may not necessarily be very articulate today, they're almost leaving a space or place for the masculine energy to hear them out, as it were. This is like a feminine energy that's just listening and trying to decide as the masculine opens up about how they are feeling. Masculine, you may be seeing this. Remember how I said yesterday, if you're trying to come into partnership or union, there may be a feeling right now about having to like overcompensate. You're realizing and recognizing if you're in this modality right now, because either you went into separation yesterday or this is something that you put forward yesterday. This is that moment that we're effectively seeing that you're trying to articulate how you feel. You're recognizing right now that due to the delay that took place, you almost, and the fact that this energy is pulling away from you so abruptly, this is almost forcing you into a space or place where you feel like you need to emotionally open up because you recognize that this is a feminine energy that is pulling away from you. Maybe not even for the first time is what we're really seeing. So this is a moment that you're trying to really advocate and articulate to the feminine that you think that there is a viability and possibility of a long-term partnership potential here. And you're being very emotionally open as you do so, trying to bring the feminine energy back into the partnership itself. Now, for masculine and feminine energy in separation, and potentially a lot of energy went into separation yesterday based on what we were seeing. Interestingly, at the cause of the feminine pulling away from a masculine, wherein they lost the ability or degree of believing that the masculine had the potentiality to go into divine union, this is the feminine energy not communicating. This is feminine energy holding fast right now to their commitment not to communicate to something, particularly because we're seeing a lot of this energy just went into a new separation cycle because feminine energy is resolving to a certain extent that they only want to communicate with emotionally balanced masculine. For a lot of the feminine right now, not communicating is the point of victory because feminine energy is trying to move towards a manifestation of masculine that has the ability to articulate on their emotions. This is effectively feminine energy waiting for a masculine to emotionally open up to them before they communicate. This is feminine energy vying and feeling like this is the only path for success right now. That is why I'm also saying that this is either going to lead to one or two different modalities right now for the feminine in separation, which is why I'm warning the feminine right now to be careful about your intentionality as it relates to communication, because this is either coming through as a feminine energy that is holding back on any communication with masculine energy that isn't effectively coming from a point of emotional balance, or this is feminine energy effectively communicating that to some energy, potentially not in a positive way, potentially effectively saying to them in so many words or in so many ways that they are abruptly ending something, specifically because they don't see this possibility or potentiality here. Now, masculine energy that is in separation right now, this is that moment that may be feeling like a bit of an issue, because what we're seeing here is from the masculine energy, you've been doing, if you are in this collective, you've been doing this work in understanding the self. You've been doing this work about coming into a state or space of emotional balance. You may even now be taking new approaches to feminine where you're being more articulate, you're being more open, you're holding your integrity in terms of really articulating what it is you want from feminine energy versus what you don't want, even if it puts you in a state or space of vulnerability of potentially having the feminine energy say like, no, that's not for me, thank you. But you're seeing results. It's allowing you a space or place where you're like immediately recognizing the difference in the connection point you're having with energy from coming from that space of vulnerability. It's allowing you, even in separation right now, to come into a space of emotional balance. And it's requiring a little bit of recalibration because now, again, this is retroactive education that's happening. It's almost like sliding down your entire timeline because you're seeing the difference about where you are now versus where you were then. And you can see yourself and you can see how you were being observed from the feminine. And you're like, I get it now. The problem is right now is you are now trying to articulate to the feminine energy in separation, I'm not that guy. I'm not that guy. I know the guy. I understand why you're so cautious. I understand why you've got so many walls up. I understand why you're kind of holding this like prickliness to me. You may be even encountering this with new energy that you're experiencing. The problem is now you get it. You're like, I understand exactly what you've experienced. Because again, you have grown. You now understand why the feminine's in this space or place. And again, you are utilizing your own powers of emotional authenticity, of emotional balance to help the feminine understand and articulate to say, I know what you experienced. I'm not going to do that because I've come into emotional balance. For the other part of the masculine collective right now, this is you trying to do that healing work. This is you now having learned the lessons, recognize what you need to change to come towards some feminine energy. The problem is again, something about this energy you recognize is so damaged, you don't know if one, you're going to get a response from them, or two, whether that response will be positive. You are trying to move back towards that feminine energy by maintaining a level or degree of emotional balance, almost leading, recognizing that you need to lead with emotional vulnerability is effectively the only way that you're going to have a point of success with this energy, because this energy basically has their guard up. They're like, they've got every wall up to you because you may not necessarily have approached them in this way before. Fourth card in our 5-card spread for today is, we have here, beautiful cards for today. Wheel of Fortune, allowing things to move in the karmic way. Now, masculine and feminine energy right now that is in partnership. This is that moment that the masculine energy may be giving some point of conciliation to a feminine that's effectively saying to them, listen, I know that you may be feeling today that you're experiencing momentary setbacks, momentary hurdles. You're putting a lot of weight on yourself right now. But listen, masculine is effectively reminding the feminine energy in partnership right now on all of the successes that they've had up until this time to bolster them right now. And also telling them to look at things from a bigger picture. Not to get caught on the small stop, not to let themselves get triggered about little things that aren't working out, but to instead look at the grand scheme of things. This is how the masculine energy is effectively pulling the feminine energy out of any kind of like situational wormhole that they're putting themselves in today if you are in partnership. Potentially even helping the feminine recognize their own limitations as it relates to planning and communication. Feminine, the reason that you're necessarily finding the support right now in partnership is because the masculine energy in the divine union is providing this. They're coming from a state or space of emotional balance. They're coming from a state or space when you're at your lowest, they don't put you lower, they try to lift you back up. You may be getting a lot of that emotional support right now in the divine union that is, again, a masculine that is trying to help you recognize your own power, your own potential, and to look at things from the bigger picture. This is what's creating the supportive environment, that sheltering sky, as it were, that you are finding right now in divine union that is helping you get through what feels like an internal or emotional hurdle. Masculine and feminine energy right now that is trying to move into partnership. This is, again, we saw a lot of energy potentially just go back into separation yesterday. What is happening with the energy that is left trying to come into partnership right now? This is effectively a masculine energy that is bringing something forward to the feminine. The timing might be feeling like it is a little off. The masculine, you may, again, and this is where we see that the masculine trying to come into partnership right now is starting to look a lot like the masculine energy in separation. This is masculine energy basically saying to the feminine, listen, I know that my timing isn't effectively what the timing that you desired was, but I could not rush this process. I could not rush coming into emotional balance. I could not rush this. This is something that had to happen on its own timeline. I'm ready now. And this could be the masculine energy trying to articulate to the feminine that the reason that this is coming when it is due to the fact that masculine is only now ready. That there's something here about them needing that time to emotionally get into this space and place. The feminine, you may be kind of, again, this could be a masculine right now trying to come into partnership that has to articulate a lot to a feminine that may be very lack of communication. There may not be a lot of communication on the part of the feminine today. Just feminine, just listening, because this is a feminine energy that's already effectively started pulling away from this masculine energy. There's even a feeling from the masculine right now, potentially recognizing and feeling like what you're providing may be feeling like a little too late. But You're trying to articulate to the feminine that the timing is in a way just right, because the timing is where you found it and you could not be at that point were it not for it being this moment. Now, feminine, you may be experiencing this right now as it relates to the partnership energy, a masculine that's potentially trying to come towards you from a state or space of emotional communication. And this may be feeling like a point of confusion for the feminine, because what we're almost seeing here, and this is where the separation energy is again starting to match into partnership, is we are effectively identifying right now that there's something about the feminine being a little thrown off course by what you're potentially receiving from the masculine today. Because this is a masculine energy, if you're trying to come into partnership right now, that is coming from a place of being very emotionally open, more than you may have ever experienced before. And you're kind of looking at this like, is this real? Like, this is giving a feminine that's like literally like looking at something and being like, how is this possible? This is almost like feeling like this is like a whole different person to a certain extent, because the energy is showing the ability of having come into that emotional development. So even for the feminine energy right now that's in partnership, this could be a feminine energy was literally about to close the door on something, and then someone has just come in at the 11th hour and like totally thrown you a curveball that you were not necessarily expecting. And that is very interesting today. Well, for masculine and feminine energy right now that is in separation, this is that firm point that is happening right now with the feminine collective in separation. Feminine energy is almost refusing to communicate to energy that is not in a point and place of emotional balance. If it is not coming from a space or place of being emotionally open, expressing one's true emotions, feminine doesn't want anything to do with it. Feminine is effectively closing the door on any of it. And feminine is considering that that is the point of victory. Because feminine is staying focused right now on the manifestation goal, even in separation, which is looking for masculine energy, recognizing that they cannot teach the masculine energy to come into balance with their vulnerable emotional center. This is something that the masculine needs to have gone through their own process and procedure of doing. Right? This is a feminine that's staying firmly fixed and saying, I will take all the time that is necessary to find a masculine energy that is in this vibration. Maybe even having some very, and this is where I got to warn the feminine right now in separation, maybe even having some very harsh words to say right now to masculine energy that isn't in this vibration, to try to articulate to them how important this is to you at this time. Masculine energy that is moving through this collective in separation right now, this is what we are effectively seeing again. And this is where we see the blending of the energies trying to come into partnership at this moment with the energy that is in separation. Because what are we seeing here? Masculine, you've had a bit of a light bulb moment. You're coming into alignment with being able to find your vulnerable emotional center at this time. You are discovering either, again, through new opportunities of partnership, how coming from a space of open vulnerability does not put you in a vulnerable place. It almost leads to the feminine connecting with you in a way that you've never experienced before. This has been a bit of a light bulb moment. It's retroactively fixing your own timeline in terms of looking at the past and recognizing your own culpability in terms of some things from the past not necessarily working out the way that you had intended or hoped. This is that moment that is almost creating a point of recalibration for you, because again, it is either now looking towards new feminine energy and saying, I get it. I get why you're so closed off. I get why you're so trepidatious. I get why you have your guard up to me. I'm going to do everything I can to articulate to you that I have learned this. I have done this work on myself. I am in balance with my own feminine energy. You are not going to have that point of manipulation, because I'm going to come towards you from a space of full emotional honesty. And I'm going to take the time to show you that that is the case. This is the masculine energy either going towards new feminine energy and trying to effectively have that moment of showing them and being committed to proving to them that this is an energy that can be trusted. While for the other part of the masculine collective right now, this is trying to come into healing with an energy that you recognize is in this vibration towards you. This is that moment of effectively looking and seeing a feminine energy from your past and going, I totally understand. I totally understand why they don't communicate with me. I totally understand that when they communicate with me, they have nothing but negative things to say. I see it now. I see how they must see me. And I am now committed to going back to this energy and showing them that I have learned this lesson, that I have come into balance, and that I'm committed to doing everything I can to basically effectively say to them in some way, shape, or form, I understand. And I am not like that anymore. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now. Fifth card in our 5-card spread for today is, we've got here, we love this, we've got here our Ace of Wands in its reversal. This is great. This is beautiful energy to see prior to the eclipses starting, because this is actually tangible effort. Tangible results today in terms of whatever is being put forth. A lot of getting to business, a lot of getting stuff done, putting that pedal to the metal today in big ways. Masculine and feminine energy. For feminine energy in partnership right now, there may be a feeling of having to effectively power through some things right now. It's not necessarily like feminine energy is at a space or place of complete confidence. But again, in partnership right now, feminine is getting that emotional support from the masculine that is helping them drive forward through their own personal feelings of inadequacy to that long-term committed partnership energy of what you're effectively striving for. Because again, the feminine energy doesn't feel like they're doing this for themselves. They feel like they're trying to hit a point of success for the benefit of the partnership itself. Masculine is encouraging the feminine in this way by giving the feminine energy their confidence back to do so. Masculine and feminine energy that is working to come into partnership right now. This is, again, for the feminine, this may be feeling like a bit of a shock or a surprise today in terms of what you may be experiencing from a masculine energy trying to come into partnership with you at this time. Because again, we saw a lot of separation energy yesterday. Feminine effectively like closing the door on some things because they weren't seeing that impact or that change, or not necessarily believing that the masculine has the capacity or ability to come into divine union. Potentially even recognizing a masculine that was saying that they do, but not necessarily showing intangibles that they understood. Saying that you want something and actually being able to show the way that you can like truly recognize that you can and you do want it. This is the point that's a dividing line for feminine. And for a lot of feminine yesterday, that was that moment of walking away from something, even recognizing that this potentially was a masculine that did not know what they were effectively asking for. While for feminine right now, that's still in this vibration, this was masculine potentially like running in at the last moment, like the last conceivable moment to finally open up in this way. And this is that moment that for feminine, it may be feeling like a bit of a shock, because masculine energy is almost like immediately, like it's almost like they've upgraded like instantly, due to the fact that they recognize that there was something here that they were effectively going to lose. It's almost required the masculine energy to like come into a forced point of emotional balance and emotional vulnerability. This is for the feminine almost feeling like a bit of a shockwave, because you might not necessarily have seen the masculine energy in this vibration before. And this could be feeling right now like a point that feels a little disorienting. The other part of this collective right now, this is potentially feminine energy. A lot of the energy trying to go into partnership has now been shuffled off back into the separation point. For the other part, this is what's keeping the feminine energy holding on. And for the feminine energy experiencing this right now, I need to point this out for the masculine. You may have to talk a lot today. You may have to express yourself. You may have to be very emotionally open to a feminine, and you recognize that they're a bit closed off, because they're about to like walk out the door on this. And this is you effectively trying to like effectively run back towards them and say, no, this is truly what I want. I get it. I don't want to lose you. Masculine and feminine energy that is in separation right now. This is feminine's firm commitment right now to themselves, not to communicate to any energy that isn't in a point of emotional balance. Feminine, again, potentially even having just walked away from someone that they desired partnership with, but recognizing that on some capacity or some level, that this was potentially a masculine that had not done the work of emotional growth. Feminine energy has learned the lesson that they cannot upgrade a masculine energy into emotional balance. It's something that the masculine energy has to effectively take on for themselves, that they are then able to give as a gift to the feminine partnership that they come into alignment with, bearing in mind that this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. For the feminine that is doing this right now, not communicating is the point of victory. Not communicating to energy that isn't in this point of balance is the point of victory. Recognizing right now that this is a feminine energy that is waiting for masculine to emotionally be vulnerable to them. That is how the feminine will recognize if this is a masculine energy that has done that work. For feminine energy right now, it is again, and I need to warn some of the feminine energy in this vibration again, this could be a moment that if you're not careful with your words, not only may this kind of inspire you not to communicate, but it may have you have a bit of that tipping over point in having some very harsh words for someone about the fact that this is what you're seeking and that you cannot give that to them, that you cannot like move into that space of teaching someone how to do this. So make sure, if you're in the feminine right now in separation, that you're very cautious in terms of making sure that what you're saying to others right now is productive and not necessarily kind of feeling more like a lash out, as you will. Masculine energy in separation right now, this is that moment that, again, this is you having done this internal work. You are at a place right now of emotional balance. You're being very emotionally vulnerable to feminine. The trick and the problem right now is that you now recognize and understand why the feminine's so closed off and guarded to you. This point of emotional vulnerability that you've reached now, you understand, even potentially having been a part of the problem in the past when you weren't like this, exactly why the feminine is so guarded. You're potentially doing a lot of work right now to emotionally connect with the feminine energy, to help them identify and recognize, saying, I know what you've gone through. I understand. I'm not looking to do the same. Masculine energy, the other modality that we're effectively seeing here, is potentially you now recognizing why a feminine energy has been so closed off to you, why a feminine energy has potentially even been so like non-positive in terms of their reactivity to you at this time, because your own perception on yourself is one that you can see the difference between where you are now versus who you might have been then. And this is a moment that, again, you may be trying to come into a state or space of amending a connection right now with a feminine, that you recognize that you have been effectively the culprit in terms of why this feminine energy is so guarded, trying to articulate to them that you've gone through this process of emotional growth, and that's what you want to effectively try to open up and change. However, you're almost recognizing right now that to do so is going to require you approaching that energy from a space or place of leading with your emotions. That's why it must be so vulnerable, because this is the only way you're recognizing that you can effectively access this energy at this time. You can't pussyfoot it around it. You've just got to be open in terms of like openly expressing how you feel emotionally in connection to this energy. And that is going to be the point of showing that there has been a bench metric of success and change, because that's not something that you recognize that you could have done prior to this point. Let's continue to get some clarification on these cards, shall we? Clarification right now between our Six of Wands in combination with our Queen of Wands in its reversal. We've got here our Sun card. So again, what is happening right now for the feminine energy, even in partnership right now? Feminine energy is feeling moments and points of success, but it is bittersweet. Feminine's feeling the anxiety. There may even be a lot of feelings of imposter syndrome coming through right now for the feminine collective right now, based on the fact that there's some kind of immediate victory, point of success that you're experiencing, but you're not necessarily feeling as elated. There's an anxiety and feeling right now of feminine's own ability to carry the success, to hold the success, or even feeling deserving of the success right now, that is causing a bit of this rift right now, even in the partnership energy. Masculine, you could be seeing this right now with your feminine energy in terms of them, again, experiencing mutual points of success while also identifying that this is a feminine energy that is very hard on themselves, that is very hard in terms of accepting success for the success that is occurring. And this could be, again, a masculine energy that's trying to uplift the feminine spirits, because there is something here that's feeling a bit problematic, even in partnership right now, which is the fact of potentially the masculine feeling like feminine's own ability not to see the power of success is almost casting a shadow on the masculine's experience as well. So this is potentially a masculine that's trying to articulate to the feminine, effectively like allowing oneself to stay in a point of uplifting, of stay in a point of positivity, because that is almost something that needs to be like mutually worked on. Because like, again, this is why these energies impact each other. It's like if one of you feels depressed, it's going to kind of bleed off into the other one. So trying to stay in that like uplifting energy right now is potentially feeling like a deep challenge. But again, masculine, you're trying to help the feminine reinforce this right now, as feminine is effectively navigating this within the self. masculine and feminine energy right now that is trying to come into partnership. This is why the feminine energy is feeling so closed off to a masculine right now, even if the masculine energy is effectively emotionally opening up to the feminine right now and giving the feminine what they effectively asked for. This is a feminine energy that, again, had to wait for this. It's not happening on the timeline that the feminine energy had ideally aspired and desired to. And this is why it's creating this bittersweet feeling right now, because feminine energy has to look at the victory and it feels somewhat hollow. It almost feels somewhat forced on the part of the feminine potentially, because again, this is a feminine energy that almost had to completely walk away from something before it was given to them. That's why the feminine is staying so closed off. Masculine, you could be seeing this right now for the feminine. For the feminine that you're trying to come into partnership with, you're trying to raise their spirits again. You're seeing the fact that this feminine energy now feels some doubt towards you due to the fact that it took you so long to come to this point. This could be you effectively trying to raise the feminine energy spirits while feeling the anxiety about whether the feminine energy is actually going to allow this to continue forward. Masculine and feminine energy right now that is in separation. This is the feminine energy having to navigate a lot of feelings of anxiety within the self right now. This is not something that feminine ideally aspired to. Feminine is feeling the disappointment right now, potentially even having to walk away from something where it doesn't mean that there isn't a connection to a masculine energy, but there is now deep doubt about the possibility of that masculine energy ever being able to be someone who recognizes and understands the value and its significance, the difference between being in a relationship versus being in a divine union. And for the feminine right now, it's having to carry some of that disappointment that's making it very hard, because while there is this point of feminine moving towards their victory, continuing forward, effectively allowing this to be that point of moving towards what they know is success, i.e. away from a partnership that did not have the potentiality of becoming a divine union, it doesn't necessarily give feminine energy a lot of confidence about how to go forward from this point. Feminine energy is just holding that breaking off the communication, as hard as it is the point of victory. Masculine energy in separation right now, this is that moment that, again, you're either in a point where you're meeting with new energy from this pace and place of emotional vulnerability that may feel like a bit of a sea change for you. And again, it's hard because it's almost like you're now feeling the emotional impact of seeing feminine energy so guarded. If you're in this space and place where you're in alignment with your emotions, masculine, your empathy is going to go up. You're maybe feeling a lot more empathetic. You can see, you can recognize, you can almost feel some of the pain that this feminine energy feels. This is not a feminine energy that wants to be closed off. This is a feminine energy that you're almost identifying that guardedness is coming from a state or space of fear or trauma. This is a feminine energy that is effectively holding itself away from you from that point of anxiety. Even for new energy, masculine, this is why we're seeing that there's this point of potential retroactive education, because you're now seeing the impact of what you may have occurred in the past when you weren't necessarily as emotionally open and available, what it actually causes in the feminine. And this is, again, a moment that you may be trying to reassure the feminine, almost identifying, and this could be hard for the masculine going through this, because you probably don't want to say to this feminine, I know because I used to do that. This is potentially you effectively having that moment of, again, could feel like a bit of a gut punch for you, because you now understand. You're learning as you go. You're seeing and learning more about yourself from the communication with the feminine in terms of what they experienced, and feeling some of that echo hitting you back as well. That's helping you develop your own understanding of the self at this moment, but is also trying to reaffirm to the feminine that you've effectively learned these lessons, that you will not perpetuate these cycles. Masculine energy that is now in this point of emotional balance. This could be you effectively trying to come back to a feminine energy right now to articulate to them that you now understand things that you did not understand before, that you're now wanting to bring back to that energy. You want to fix something. You're almost potentially understanding how and why the feminine energy may be closed off to you, or may be very reactionary to you, because you see some aspects of yourself that you didn't necessarily see before. And this is a moment that, again, it's very difficult because you're hoping to have that point of success right now with this energy, but you're also understanding that that might not necessarily be possible. This is even speaking right now to masculine energy, just coming towards some feminine energy right now, trying to mend fences, trying to say, I don't want things to be like this between us. I don't want you feeling like that about me. I want us to be in a good place because, again, it bothers me. It emotionally bothers me now that you're in terms in the fact that the masculines come into emotional balance. This is masculine energy literally trying to heal the unhealed karmic energy around them for the sake of the healing, for their own self, as well as for the energy that's around them at this time. So a lot of catharsis here as a lot of this work occurs. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Queen of Wands in its reversal and our King of Cups. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now. We love this. Our Page of Cups in its reversal. It is going to have a bit of a different feeling depending on whether you are on this partnership cycle. This is masculine and feminine in partnership, effectively reaffirming their own sense of commitment to the partnership. Feminine right now appreciates this masculine energy because this is a masculine energy that she knows does not play games. This is a masculine energy that they know is not in a state or space where they're going to manipulate, where they're trying to play a game, where they're moving or invested completely in their own pleasure. This is a masculine energy that's effectively proved time and time again to the feminine that the masculine will forgo their own pleasure for the sake of providing emotional support to the feminine. This is what creates the shelter for the feminine right now to have those moments of anxiety and doubt, to be able to feel safe and supported because they know that this is a masculine energy that effectively has their back. Masculine energy at this time, this could be reaffirming to the feminine right now. Maybe even making, again, some modifications and adjustments in terms of like what you might desire to do so that you can be more fully supportive and present to the feminine right now. And this is, again, potentially you helping and understanding that this is a feminine that needs this level or degree of support right now that is helping you really have to articulate to them the value and importance about what you're willing to sacrifice for the sake of the partnership. We are also effectively seeing right now that there may be some conversations right now, even in partnership, about outside energy. And again, asking if they are kind of sharing your own level or degree of seriousness as it relates to partnership right now. This could have to do with some outside situations and circumstances right now of feminine and masculine in partnership having to come to the support of some energy outside the partnership that is kind of showing some level or degree of needing some point of reconciliation. Now, for masculine and feminine energy that is working to come into partnership or union at this time, this is feminine energy potentially having a bit of a shock right now, because what we're potentially seeing right now for the energy that's still coming into partnership is this is almost a masculine that feels like they've done a complete flip. They've almost like completely flipped, and they're really trying to affirm to the feminine that they're not moving from a state or space of just moving from a point of view of only following their own desires or their own interests, but trying to really articulate their emotionality to show the feminine energy that they are emotionally invested, that they want this, that they're ready to be in divine union right now. They're ready to put aside childish things. They're ready to put aside childish ideals. They're ready to effectively upgrade, if you will, into divine union. And this is what may be feeling like for some of the feminine seeing this right now, a bit of a head scratcher or a bit of a shock, because we're almost seeing that this almost feels like an absolute immediate flip of the energy. Now, even for the feminine experiencing this, I have to stress, it is the suddenness. It is the suddenness of the change that is almost creating the feeling of not opening up to it. There's a feminine that's still very cautious about this because like it seems so different that you're a little bit thrown. Like this is a feminine that's just like listening a lot right now, as opposed to taking any action because they're so effectively disoriented about this that they're not sure what to do. Masculine, this is effectively you coming into like immediate upgrade because you effectively recognize that this is a moment that, again, for half the masculine energy, you let something walk away. You're back in separation yesterday. Today, the other part of the masculine energy, this was you effectively like emotionally like upgrading overnight because you were like, if I don't do this now, I'm going to lose this person for good. There was some kind of observation here for masculine that this was like a point of like coming up to the bar or not coming up at all. And for a lot of the masculine, this was you just coming up to the bar immediately. Like there's something about the idea or the possibility of losing this energy that almost like instantly brought you into this new vibration. Now, masculine and feminine energy that's in separation right now, this is feminine energy effectively, again, staying firmly committed to the fact that they're only seeking and they're only communicating with emotionally balanced masculines right now. This could be feminine even right now, opening the door to communicating with some emotionally masculine, emotionally balanced masculine energy about their own trepidation. This is feminine energy effectively starting to talk to these other energies again. And I need to stress again, for the feminine energy that is in separation, this could be saying or having some very sharp things to say to masculine energy that you feel isn't at that point of emotional balance. So I'm going to say it again, feminines, if you're in this vibration, make sure that you are utilizing intentionality in terms of how you're communicating today, because this could be a lot of potentially speaking first without thinking. Even for the energies in partnership right now, there's something very important about really kind of thinking about your words right now, feminine, before you speak, because this can sometimes be a bit triggering. Now, feminine energy, right? Masculine energy right now, again, we've got two different modalities happening. This is either masculine communicating with new feminine connections, seeing the trepidation, saying to the feminine, I understand it. Masculine energy, what masculine isn't communicating to feminine right now, is masculine. What masculine is actually saying potentially in some of these is, I understand it because I used to be it. I used to be there. I used to do those things. Masculine isn't necessarily saying that to feminine right now, but masculine's doing everything they can to show the feminine that they've learned, that they're in a point of emotional balance, because again, this is that retroactive work that's happening right now with the emotionally balanced masculine energy to effectively meet the feminine energy at an emotionally open area, to truly articulate to them, I am not here to play games. I am not moving here towards you from a space of only serving my own purposes and my own needs. I am here to try to build a divine union with someone by being open and expressive in terms of what it is I'm seeking, so that we can make sure that we are in alignment. Masculine energy that is also in separation right now, this is you potentially trying to go back towards a manifestation of feminine that you now understand why their guard is up. You understand why they've been short. You understand why there was conflict points in the past. You're seeing yourself literally in a whole new way. This is you effectively seeing yourself in the mirror and now saying, I've grown. I recognize my own culpability and why they were reacting the way that they were reacting. I see it now. And this is effectively you going to that energy right now, masculine, and trying to make it right. Potentially even not even for the sake of potentially a union right now, but just again for your own sense of feeling good about yourself, your own sense of like your own personal conscience to a certain extent, wanting to heal something by articulating to the energy and saying, I understand now what I did that caused you to behave or react that way. And that's what's allowing your own healing journey to proceed as well. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our King of Cups in combination with our Wheel of Fortune. May I please have one card to clarify? Oh, Strength in its reversal. But we like seeing this card in this position, okay? Why? Because again, masculine and feminine energy in divine union right now. This is that moment of identifying and recognizing the value of vulnerability in partnership. Masculine, the reason that you are feeling the power of this divine union energy is because this is not a partnership that you have to be strong in. This is a partnership that allows you to be in a point of emotional openness, vulnerability. You are recognizing the space and place, the power that has happened, the additional level of power that comes from being vulnerable. The amount of bravery and strength that is required to be vulnerable in this way is what is guiding you forward on your karmic path. It is karmically healing. You are breaking cycles. You are proceeding forward in a karmic way that has not been done before, potentially even in your own ancestral lineage here. This is how you are healing, not just your own cycle, but also the cycles of the energy around you right now, by coming into a space and place and recognizing that you are in a point of being strong at a point of vulnerability instead of pretending that you don't have any emotions at all. This is what is allowing for that karmic shift to effectively occur. This is healing the karmic cycle. To do this, masculine, you are feeling this. It is hard work, but it is empowering work. It feels like it is in your highest alignment to do so. Feminine, you are effectively also putting a lot of trust and faith right now in masculine. Feminine, one of the things that could be articulated right now for feminine and masculine energy right now in partnership is the fact that feminine feels the anxiety of leaning on masculine for this support. The fear effectively communicated in the fact that the feminine fears that the masculine may depart from them. This is a masculine energy that is staying firmly focused and committed in terms of being there for the feminine and articulating to them that says, you don't have to be perfect. I'm not going to run away. I'm not going to disappear when you're not perfect. I am here no matter what occurs. And this is also fortifying the union right now and allowing the feminine energy to create a space or place where masculine can be emotionally vulnerable in the partnership and also feel that level of support and protection. Masculine and feminine energy that is trying to move into partnership right now. This is that moment that the feminine is potentially looking at the masculine as they're trying to come into partnership right now and going, what the heck happened? Like, this is almost feminine looking at the masculine and being like, this is a little too, like, this is like, what on earth has changed? This is potentially a feminine looking at a masculine and being like, this was not where you were prior. What on earth has been going on with you? How did this happen so suddenly? And this is potentially masculine having to effectively, again, emotionally open up and be vulnerable to articulate their feelings in a way that they haven't articulated them before, because the masculine is effectively ready to do so. Again, because doing so is now bringing this energy into the divine union energy and saying, well, if I can be very vulnerable and honest with you, and the minute that happens, the minute the emotional vulnerability is unlocked, boom, this starts to move back into divine union right now. Masculine energy right now that's potentially working in partnership with feminine. Again, if you're still in this moment, we see a lot of this now moving into the divine union area, because this is a moment where the masculine is effectively having to open up in a huge way to the feminine right now to articulate, again, recognizing that they almost lost this energy again, to say, this is how I really feel. This is how I honestly feel. This is why I felt the delay. This is like almost that this is the unburdening of one's own emotion that masculine thought was too vulnerable to do. It actually creates that alignment point. Feminine, you may be experiencing this today if you're trying to come into partnership and being a little thrown. Now, but again, and it's hard, and it's why the feminine's being so trepidatious in terms of communicating, because it's making the feminine feel very vulnerable to see the masculine like this, because it feels like such a change. And the feminine is a little bit cautious and scared about it because the feminine's not sure what's happening. Now, masculine and feminine in separation, this was feminine energy not seeing this from the masculine. This was a feminine energy not recognizing that this was occurring. This was a feminine energy that is now, again, potentially even just moved back into separation and is being completely focused and committed on only communicating and working forward with masculine energy that is in this point of emotional balance. They're trusting time and fate to help guide them towards that direction and capacity, and it's hard because they're feeling very vulnerable in the process. They're feeling very vulnerable because feminine's literally trying to prevent themselves from communicating with energy that is not that. But recognizing that they're leaving the door open for masculine energy that proceeds to approach them from a space of being emotionally open and emotionally vulnerable. Now, for masculine energy that is in a point of separation, this is that upgrade that's happening even in separation, because again, this is either masculine energy that is approaching feminine in new ways from a space and state of being emotionally open and vulnerable, and you're immediately seeing the results, and it is creating a light bulb moment for you on how you may have been culpable in past experiences that did not work out, because you are recognizing what you were effectively denying the feminine by doing this, which may have led the feminine to be so guarded and reactionary to you in the first place. This is you effectively trying to identify to the feminine that you have done this process, that you have learned these lessons. And it's hard because it's a work and act of feeling vulnerable as you do so. This is either masculine energy doing this in new ways as you connect with new energy right now, recognizing that you are now on this point, on this path where you feel like there's almost this emotional deepening that's happening that feels very difficult, but you're also navigating through from a space and place where you haven't been this vulnerable before. Or this is masculine energy approaching a feminine that they know is closed off to them. You may even be recognizing, masculine, that this is not something that you feel like you might actually win on, but you're doing it for your own edification. You feel the conviction and the need to make things right with this energy. Why? Because I said you're trying to heal your karmic lines. You're feeling the weight of the unhealed karmic energy around you, and you want to be free of it. So you are convincing yourself, the masculine energy doing this right now, what's so valuable and important is it's not just the fact that the masculine energy is doing this for the sake of coming back into union with feminine. Masculine energy is doing this work right now to heal these karmic lines because they don't want to carry the weight of the unhealed karmic energy because it's become too overwhelming. This is a moment that the carrying of the unhealed karmic energy is now taking too much of a toll on a masculine energy that's built up the level and degree of empathy that they can feel the pain of the unhealed karmic connection. And they are now committed to trying to heal it. You want to talk about cord cutting? Forget cord cutting. This is trying to repair the cords. This is trying to say, I need to make things right. I need to make sure that the energy around me is healed. I need to make sure that I am not the culprit in unhealed karmic energy that is around me. So masculine energy is proceeding on their own healing journey as they try to move into back into union with feminine, even if it's from a space and state of building a platonic connection. Feminine, masculine, continuing to get clarification on these cards right now. Amazing two cards in combination right now. Our Wheel of Fortune in combination with our Ace of Wands in its reversal. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now. We love this. This is exactly what we needed to see here. Death card in its reversal. Now, masculine and feminine energy that is in divine union and partnership right now. This is the joint work that you are doing in the partnership right now to help immediate momentary hurdles. You are looking at the grand scheme of things. You are putting your energy in overcoming the blockages in the moment, but the reason you're not getting overrun or upset by the blockages is because your focus is on the bigger picture. That again, it's not necessarily about those small days of carrying the weight. You're looking at the grander movement of something towards what you're trying to build towards at this time. It is that unified collective feeling right now that is empowering you through setbacks, through hurdles, giving you that strength, particularly for the feminine right now that's doubting their own self in partnership. Masculine and feminine energy that is working to come into partnership right now. This is that moment that feels like a bit of a switch is hit. Right? Because for half of the collective we saw, you move back into separation yesterday. Masculine vacillated too much, boom, back into separation. Feminine didn't see the masculine move as quickly as they desired for divine union, boom, back into separation. The energy here, the masculine energy having to rush forward and overcompensate because they recognized that they were almost like trying to slide the paper on, like they were trying to karmically slide the paper on the teacher's desk as the bell was ringing. This is almost like feeling like an immediate upgrade moment, but in a way, and this is the funny part about it, for the feminine energy experiencing this right now, it is the abruptness of the change. It is how quickly it came in. It's like it was delivered too quickly. That's creating a moment for the feminine that's like, I need a minute because you just completely 180'd on me. You just completely went from being like, no, to suddenly here it all is. So the feminine's trying to like recalibrate as they're getting everything that they wanted from the masculine right now. If they're trying to come into partnership, it's almost like so much right now that it's a little overwhelming for the feminine. While for masculine right now, this is the masculine almost going through like a very fast karmic upgrade. Because you realize there was some kind of bell that like rang in the masculine's head that made them recognize that this was it. That if they let this feminine energy go this time, that was it. This karmic energy is gone. That's actually what's happened here. Karmically, there's something about this time that masculine realized that this was a door that was closing, that was the closing of the door, that it was going to be like, this is not a feminine energy that was going to effectively allow them to come back in this way, because potentially this was even a point where this is not the first time that this has occurred between these energies. This is the masculine energy saying, no, please, I'm ready. And that is the moment the masculine maybe are having to articulate to the feminine right now in terms of opening up, because masculine realized that it was either literally now or never. Now or never karmically. Masculine and feminine energy right now that is in separation. This is the feminine energy that is staying very focused on their own path. Feminine energy is trusting time to allow them to find that masculine energy that's done this work. Feminine energy also recognizes this is the reason feminine energy is not reaching out to masculine right now. If feminine energy doesn't find the energy in this vibration, feminine energy realizes that they can't transform it into it. Feminine energy is learning the lesson that they cannot make a King of Cups. They cannot create a space or place where a masculine energy can learn emotional intelligence, they need to effectively do that work themselves. It's literally something that feminine is saying, I cannot do this for you. There's literally no way I can do this for you. You have to be on that path. I have to find you there, or there's nothing to be said. This is why the feminine energy is effectively walking away right now from some masculine energy that they looked at and said, you don't get it. You say you want it, but you don't get it because you haven't done this work. And so this is that moment for the feminine. The feminine is feeling they're feeling the disappointment of the blockage. They're feeling the disappointment of seeing something that they recognize that they can't change, but they're putting their energy and power into the spaces and places that they can. Masculine energy in separation right now, this is that moment that you are trying to overcome this blockage, because again, you are seeing feminine in a way you haven't seen them before, because you've been doing this work. If you're in this collective, you have been coming into a space of emotional balance. You've been learning the power and the importance of being able to be emotionally vulnerable, that allows you to connect with feminine in a way that you haven't connected before. Now is that moment that is almost retroactively creating a point of like having to heal the karma. And this is where the masculine energy separation is coming back into play, because now not only is masculine trying to heal it with the new energy that they're approaching, but masculine's trying to look at places and spaces where they're feeling the karmic blockage. Now, again, this is where these lines come back together, because now this is a masculine energy in separation. They're learning this from the new connections. They're seeing new possibilities and potential opening up, and it's making them feel the pain, feel the karmic pain of having the moments of feeling the unhealed karmic connection, seeing and recognizing the energy of the feminine that they may have created these blockages with. You're now seeing where your own culpability is in this. And this is a moment that is almost forcing you to want to address them, to get that accountability back, to basically be able to heal those unhealed karmic connections that you're feeling so sensitive with because of your increased degree of empathy. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now, between our Sun card in its reversal and our Page of Cups in its reversal. This is going to be a big one with these two. We have here our Two of Swords. Now, if in partnership right now, this is a moment that we are effectively seeing that has a lot to do with immediate day-to-day circumstances and situations. Feminine right now is, again, they're feeling some setbacks, they're feeling some hurdles. Feminine feels like they need to make some choices right now. The difficulty and setback right now for the feminine may have to do with the disparity right now between what feminine feels makes them coming from a state or space of positivity versus what the masculine desires. This could be feeling like a bit of some decisions that need to effectively be made right now that feels like a disparity point between the feminine's own place and what the masculine desires to do right now. This is some of that feeling right now of potentially oppositional desires and goals that need to be addressed, because something that may be articulated here is that something that the masculine energy desires to do, the feminine energy feels less of a confidence around doing. This is requiring some point of adjustment, or again, a point of intuition and observation right now. Feminine energy may be feeling a lot of uncertainty in terms of their own sense of positivity at this time. Feminine energy is effectively struggling with the difference between what is theirs to carry versus what it is that they feel is someone's outside responsibility. Feminine right now may not necessarily be moving a lot in this vibration right now, because feminine energy is potentially looking at something right now and asking themselves, is this something that I need to internally fix within myself, or is this something I need to ask someone to fix about themselves? This is hard for the feminine. Feminine's trying to sit with what they're feeling to decide how to proceed forward from this point. Masculine energy right now, this is effectively also a moment that we see that you're trying to make some decisions as well in partnership, potentially using your own powers of intuition and observation as it relates to how to go forward at this time, because we are also seeing that for the masculine that there's something happening here in partnership where you are feeling somewhat constricted in the realm of your own feelings of pleasure and enjoyment right now. This could be feeling the weight of some of the responsibility that you may feel right now in the partnership that doesn't allow you to come into a state or space of easement. This may be something that you feel like you need to discuss with the feminine at this time, but you're potentially seeing that today is not the day. Today is not the day. Today is not the day. So you're effectively holding and waiting right now to potentially have a conversation in this way, trying to be, again, more of that walking on eggshells that we've been discussing about waiting for the right time to bring something up to the feminine. While for masculine and feminine right now that are trying to move into partnership right now, this is feminine energy literally just watching and trying to figure out what's going on with the masculine. Feminine in trying to come into partnership right now, you just saw the masculine energy potentially pull a 180 on you. And you're just trying to be like, is this a trick? Like, this is a feminine energy being like, can I trust this? The problem is with the feminine is this is such a about face, if you will, that the feminine energy is taking a lot of time in terms of like accepting it, because it feels so different. This is like feminine being like, I don't know if I can trust this. Masculine, you could potentially be seeing this. And again, this is where the energies trying to come into partnership right now are going to start looking a lot like the energies in separation. Because masculine, you're potentially also seeing the feminine being like, I don't know if I can trust you because this feels like such a change. And you going, yeah, I know, I get it. I see me too. I recognize that this probably feels very abrupt. This feels like a change, but that's because it is. Because, like, again, the possibility of losing you, the possibility of losing this connection has, like, completely effectively shifted the, like, emotional landscape of some of the masculine energy right now. And again, there's a point where both energies are kind of, like, watching and seeing what the other will do. Masculine effectively just unloaded to feminine right now about the fact that they're ready to move into, like, a deeper sense of commitment, recognizing the fear that the feminine won't accept it right now because it's coming like at the 11th hour. Feminine, you're seeing this change happen so abruptly. It's overwhelming, but it's also got you very trepidatious as to whether to accept it. Masculine and feminine energy in separation at this time. Again, this is feminine energy being very trepidatious as they proceed forward, only to allow in masculine energy that is at a point of emotional balance. Feminine energy, again, has their guard up towards all of the masculine energy right now because they're trying to assess, and they're doing it with a point of cynicism, whether the masculine energy, even the new energy approaching them at this time, is coming from a state or space of authenticity. They're trying to weed out whether this is an energy that's only suiting their own needs, their own desires, or if this is energy that's actually seeking divine union at this time. And this is that moment for feminine that feels like a bit of having to sort. It's like almost feeling like a bit of a sorting process, but not necessarily a positive one for the feminine, because feminine's almost addressing it or tackling it with a bit of cynicism and a bit of uncertainty. There's anxiety about feminine feeling like it's hard to be able to tell the difference between masculine energy that's true and authentic versus masculine energy that likes to pretend to do so. So for feminine right now, this is almost feminine moving forward with a lot of protectiveness and cynicism. Masculine, you could be seeing this in the feminine energy right now. You could be getting it. You could be feeling it. Again, if you're doing this work of coming into emotional balance, you could be experiencing it on an acute degree because you're understanding and you're recognizing on an emotional level what you're seeing in the feminine. And you're potentially even providing new feminine energy and saying, you can take all the time and you want to help me, help prove to you that I am legitimate, that I'm not going to do those things, and I'm not going to move in a space or place of being manipulative or serving my own needs and desires. I'm willing to take the time that is necessary because I get it. So this is, again, either the emotionally balanced masculine energy having done this work that is now effectively saying to new feminine energy, I get it. You can't make a verdict on me. I understand. You've been hurt before. That's okay. We can take the time. While also potentially masculine now potentially even wanting to feel the secondary desire or degree of, again, either this is masculine energy doing this to new energy, or this is masculine energy doing this to an old energy that they want to come back into union with. Saying, I understand too. This isn't, I'm almost saying to the energy as they approach them in this way, and this is how these two are merging. However you decide you want to go forward, it's okay. I didn't do this specifically for that reason. I did it because I needed you to know. Right? That's that healing we're seeing. And that's where we're also seeing that for a lot of the masculine energy right now, I'm almost seeing that they're doing this even in the realms and spaces of platonic connections right now, because the emotional empathy is growing to such an extent that it is the desire to come into a space of balance just for the sake of one's own self. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Page of Cups in its reversal and our Strength card in its reversal. May I please have one card? Thank you. We've got here our Three of Swords. Now, this is why this is happening right now. Healing is necessary here, even for the energies in partnership right now. There is a moment that is effectively occurring. Feminine energy has been feeling some doubts in their own ability of planning and their own ability to move forward at this time. Feminine energy is feeling anxiety. They're potentially even articulating to the masculine their own anxieties as it relates to the partnership. This is feminine energy unpacking a lot of this trauma right now in the partnership itself. And it's difficult work, particularly for the feminine right now, because again, feminine energy in a way is almost articulating to the masculine their own anxieties and fears as it relates to the masculine energy's own desires at this time. There's something here that's potentially happening right now with the feminine energy looking at masculine and almost saying like, I see that you are supportive. I see that you're here. I get worried that you won't be. I get worried that you'll move away from me. And this is creating that feeling of anxiety. It's feminine energy effectively articulating to the masculine their deepest fears to deal with this pain. Masculine, you're effectively seeing this on the part of the feminine, and you're effectively having to convince the feminine energy to a certain extent and saying like, those fears are unfounded. I am here for the long run. I'm not going anywhere. I am here to heal you. And maybe even for some of the masculine energy, this is potentially having to heal some outside situations or circumstances that have caused the feminine energy trauma and pain in this capacity in the past. This could even be feminine energy unpacking a lot of a trauma that occurred to them in other situations and scenarios where the masculine energy did not rise to this challenge, but effectively left them at moments when they were weak, when they were not at their strongest. This is masculine effectively saying, I see what occurred to you and that will not happen. Do you see how these lines are now connecting? The masculine observing the past and refortifying their own growth through the process of recognizing and seeing themselves through the perception of the feminine energy. Feminine, again, you are in the divine partnership. You're finding a space and place where you are safe to unpack this trauma and know that it's not going to create a space or place of reactivity. It's instead going to create a space where the masculine is receptive and open to it, hence allowing you to bring this trauma to the forefront to heal what is carrying the heaviness in your heart. Masculine and feminine energy that is trying to move into partnership right now. This is that moment that we see is creating a bit of a heartbreak feeling because again, feminine, it's not the fact that the masculine isn't finally coming forward and giving you what you desire them to give you. It's that they picked a hell of a time to do so. This was literally for a lot of the feminine energy feeling like you were literally 3 steps out the door when the masculine suddenly pulled a complete 180 on you. You're feeling a bit thrown because again, the circumstances are almost feeling like they were set up or equipped to make you feel extremely vulnerable. And this is why feminine is struggling with it because feminine energy doesn't know if they can trust the masculine that seems to have just like flipped like a switch. The feminine energy wants to believe it, but they're feeling the anxiety of believing it. And that's creating that point or space right now of anxiety and heartbreak for the feminine, even as they're getting what they effectively asked for at this time. While for masculine energy that's trying to come into partnership, you're seeing this on the part of the feminine. You're feeling the anxiety. The reason you rushed to do this was because you were already feeling the heartbreak. You recognized that you were about to lose this energy for good. This was you effectively running in and trying to offer this at like the 11th hour. And again, you're also feeling the heartbreak because again, you're potentially even recognizing and seeing the fact that the feminine energy is having a really hard time believing you because again, to the feminine, it kind of feels like this is something that you're doing from a point of duress, as opposed to something that you gave forth willingly. This wasn't something that you presented to the feminine. This is something that you're offering the feminine because they were literally about to walk out the door. And that's the problem because like it doesn't feel like a gift so much as it feels like you're trying to heal some of this heartbreak. And you're seeing the heartbreak that's occurring given the circumstances, right? The timing on this feels off. Masculine and feminine energy that is in separation right now. Again, feminine energy is healing their heartbreak. Feminine energy is effectively having to let go of something. And I need to stress this. The feminine energy is potentially even, again, this is where we see these two connection points breaking off again. This was that moment that the feminine energy, it's not the fact that the masculine didn't articulate that they wanted divine union. It's the fact that feminine saw something in the masculine that gave her confirmation that this masculine isn't ready for divine union. I'm going to say that again. This is the feminine energy recognizing the difference between a masculine energy saying that they want divine union versus a masculine energy that seems like they are prepared for divine union. And this is that moment that feels heartbreaking for the feminine, because recognizing this means that the feminine energy recognizes that she cannot make the masculine energy come into emotional balance. This is effectively a feminine energy having to let something go, and it breaks their heart to do so. This is heavy work, but feminine energy is staying firm and committed on this, because feminine energy is looking for masculine energy that has done this work of emotional balance. Masculine energy right now that is in separation. Again, this is that moment that you are literally potentially going through that upgrade. You've actually done the upgrade. You're like, I get it now. I'm here. Oh my God. Hi. Welcome. Welcome to the club. I'm back. I'm here. I now know. I understand. Like, the light bulb has gone off. And now it's this moment that, again, you're effectively in a space or place that feels kind of heartbreaking, because you're now seeing it. You have the perception now of what the feminine has been seeing. You're effectively trying to articulate to the feminine, being like, I see it. I totally get. No, I know. And like, potentially, again, either new energy. You're trying to articulate to them how, like, that you are not like that, even though you used to be. Potentially, like, even like, almost like the point of not wanting to admit, like, I used to be like that too. I'm not there. I've grown. I understand. I've done this work. Or this is you now effectively going up to an energy that's effectively already closed the door to this extent. That, like, you left them in a point where you were in that vibration, and now you're trying to articulate to them and say, I've grown. I see it now. I understand what I did to you. I understand what happened. I understand what you were asking for. I understand how I couldn't give it to you. And I may have even caused some of the rift that was occurring between us because of how I handled things. I see the pain that I caused. And you're trying to be vulnerable and open to articulate and recognize and identify to the feminine energy right now, saying, I want to make it right. And again, this is appreciative right now, because we're seeing here that this is masculine energy doing this for no other sake than the fact that it also breaks the masculine energy's own heart now to carry it and observe that this is what it's occurred. This is the unhealed karmic energy that you're now trying to heal, if not to get back into partnership, but just for the sake of your own heart. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Strength card in its reversal in combination with our Death card in its reversal. Clarification coming through right now with beautiful, our King of Swords. Masculine and feminine in divine union right now. This is that moment that, again, overcoming hurdles, blockages being identified, vulnerability being reached, but again, being vulnerable despite the hurdles, allowing the vulnerability to guide you through situations and circumstances that feel like they are difficult, that need some point of transformation. Masculine, you're standing in your integrity here. You're allowing yourself deeper levels of vulnerability that you may have ever experienced before in partnership. But again, this is helping you overcome and transcend your own blockages right now, because it's the fact that you're not running from your own vulnerability. This may have even been moments in the situations from the past where when you felt vulnerable like this, you ran in the other direction. This is quite the opposite. You're standing your ground. You're standing your ground for the sake of the partnership, wherein you found a space and place where you can be this vulnerable, and you realize you don't need to be afraid or run away from that level or degree of vulnerability. Feminine, you're also seeing this right now. You are seeing a masculine energy wherein you can be your most vulnerable self. And instead of departing, instead of abandoning you, they are showing that they are absolutely here for it. They're showing you that they can be absolutely supportive. It is fortifying you, because this is an energy and of divine union that is saying to you, you don't have to be perfect for me to stay. I'm here regardless of whether you are at your best or at your worst. This is fortifying the partnership and helping it persist even through blockages and hurdles. Masculine and feminine energy that is working to come into partnership at this time. This is, again, having to overcome the hurdle. Because again, for feminine, it's not the fact that the masculine is showing up. It's the fact that it's happened so abruptly. It's happening so quickly that it has thrown the feminine off guard. Feminine doesn't know what to do with it. Feminine doesn't know if they can believe that this transformation could happen so quickly, because they're seeing the masculine stand up in a way, come forward in a way that they haven't before, and it's throwing them. Feminine needs a minute to recalibrate, because it's so overwhelming that they don't know if they can believe what they're seeing in the change of the masculine right now. Masculine, if you're trying to come into partnership right now, and again, this is where you're starting to line up with the masculine energy and separation, you're potentially looking right now to the feminine and saying, I get it. I understand why you're trepidatious. I understand that this feels like a change for me, but I am invested in proving to you that this is the case. Masculine and feminine energy right now in separation. This is feminine energy, again, conceding, feeling the pain of letting something go. But again, feminine energy right now is looking at masculine energy that they're potentially releasing right now from a point of sadness, but also feeling, again, a firm belief and understanding that they cannot force change on someone. They cannot force someone into a space of emotional balance. They just have to find them there, focusing on their manifestation of a masculine that is able to come forward towards them. Almost feminine saying to themselves, leaving the door open on this energy growing and recognizing that when this energy is ready, they will come to the feminine. They will come to the feminine and they will articulate the fact that they have found emotional balance and that they're ready to stand in their integrity. Feminine energy is almost giving themselves that point of concession to give themselves that catharsis as they proceed forward from this point. Basically saying, when this energy is ready, if this energy learns to heal, if this energy learns to come into balance, they will let me know. And now we see the convergence of these points, because where do we find the masculine energy? Well, we find the masculine energy in separation right now. If you have gone through this work in the collective of coming into emotional balance at this time, this is a moment that we are identifying that you are at a point where you are standing at a point of integrity like you haven't before, because you are approaching the feminine from a space and place of complete openness and vulnerability, and you are finding strength in doing so. You are learning the gift, the art of the strength that can be found in being vulnerable, that is further fortifying you right now. And now it is creating a bit of a sea change, because for half the masculine energy, you are bringing this into new relationship energy. You are seeing that point of success. And now it is requiring the healing of the past karmic energy that you may have potentially left in this space and degree. This could be feeling now a renewed heaviness on spaces and places that you did not bring this level of integrity to, that you did not bring this level of openness to, that you are now feeling the deep desire to potentially heal. So this is now effectively that retroactive work happening right now to heal karmic energy by effectively, again, either new energy that you're approaching from this tactic that is now impelling you to be able to go back to past areas, to be able to heal at least from a platonic level, or this is a moment that we see that you are trying to move back towards an energy that you desire divine union with, helping and wanting to articulate and identify to them and say, I get it now. I understand what I did. I understand why things developed and evolved the way they did. I want you to know I am no longer like that. And again, not necessarily even doing it specifically with the goal of coming back into divine union, but more in terms of trying to heal the unhealed karmic energy around you right now that is carrying weight in your heart space. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Two of Swords in combination with our Three of Swords. May I please have one card to clarify? Hermit in its reversal. Yeah, this needs to get healed sooner rather than later. Masculine and feminine energy in partnership right now. Again, the only thing that one of the big challenges that we keep seeing that's rising up right now for the energies that are in partnership is some of the feeling of disparity in terms of what you both need to heal at this time. Feminine energy is requiring a lot of support from the masculine. Masculine energy is almost looking for a place of easement. There's almost a point right now where the masculine just wants to come into a space or place of enjoyment rather than doing a lot of this heavy work. Masculine and feminine energy, this is because, again, even in partnership right now, it's not the fact that you guys aren't bearing a point of emotional weight and pain. It's that you have different ways of tackling it. And the difficulty right now is the fact that the partnership itself is creating a little bit of too close for comfort here to allow for some of that space to be able to heal and carry things the way that you may ideally need to right now. There could be a feeling right now of trying to get into a space or place of isolation, or requiring some isolation that you don't necessarily have in the partnership, so that you can heal some of this in the way that you like to heal it. Because we are seeing here that even in partnership right now, masculine and feminine have different ways of navigating this. While for masculine and feminine energy that is trying to come into partnership at this moment, what we are effectively seeing is, again, hold on, let's just let this pass. All right. As the alarm bells hit. All right. So for masculine and feminine energy that is trying to come into partnership at this time, this is that moment that, again, it's how something is coming about right now that is creating mutual pain. Feminine wants to accept this from masculine. It's just the fact that they're feeling the anxiety of doing so right now, because, again, feminine energy is feeling the weight and the frustration of a masculine that did not offer this as a gift to the feminine. This is almost a masculine that seems to be more afraid of being alone. And that's why they offered this to the feminine. As I said, it came at the last hour. It came as feminine was looking like they were literally about to walk out the door. And this is the pain that the feminine's experiencing, because feminine's looking at the change in the masculine. And this is that moment that the feminine's saying, did you actually want to offer this to me? Or is this something that you were doing out of duress because you were scared of being alone? Masculine, if you are in this position with the feminine, you're probably getting this question from them right now, which is, again, the fact that you changed so quickly, so abruptly. You offered something as feminine energy was literally about to walk away, that you're trying to or have to articulate to the feminine. And again, this could feel like a bit of a reverse here, because masculine, you might be saying to the feminine, yes, absolutely. I don't want you not in my life. I'm willing to change like this to have you in my life. And this is where some of the disparity is, because this isn't a feminine that wanted you to do this out of duress. They wanted you to do this because you wanted to do it, not because you're saying, you're giving me no choice. Like, feminine doesn't want to be in that position. And this is the fact that feminine's like, you've literally, like, this is like, it's almost like for feminine going, this is the most non-romantic way to come into union ever. That's what the feminine's basically saying to masculine. Like, this is like, thank you for all of the romance here. This is really, really romantic. You're basically saying to me, you forced the possibility that I would like never see you again. You forced the possibility that like you were walking out of my life. So here you go. Let's do this. Like, thank you. That's beautiful. A tale as old as time. A tale for the ages. So this is where we see the problem with the heartbreak that both are carrying right now. Masculine and feminine in separation right now. This is effectively, again, this is that weight that's happening, and it's hard because, again, feminine is staying very firm in terms of having to either release energy that they have identified they do not feel is prepared for divine union right now, and staying very firmly committed in terms of not communicating, because there's some kind of need here. There's even a potentiality of saying the wrong thing today or really lashing out in the wrong way. And this is the reason why the feminine has to be very careful in terms of how they're speaking today, because feminine's carrying a lot of heartbreak right now. There's a feeling of not wanting to be in solitude, but there's an inability in terms of deciding how to go forward, because, again, feminine's feeling a lot of trepidation in terms of like navigating forward, being afraid of allowing masculine energy in that they feel is also not necessarily going to be like aligned to them. And also not wanting to go back to situations and circumstances wherein they don't feel the masculine is at a point of emotional balance or integrity. So this is creating a little bit of that limbo today for the feminine energy in separation, of feeling like, I can't go forward. I don't want to go forward. I don't want to go backward. And I hate freaking being alone like this. Is what we're seeing right now for the energy in separation, which is why I need to stress, be very kind to the feminine energy in separation today, because there's a chance the slightest misstep right now for the feminine energy in separation may like lead to some energy going off today. All right. Remember, I mentioned that. Think before you act, feminine. Think before you speak today. All right. Masculine energy right now that is in separation. This is, again, this moment that feels very painful because, again, you are taking a different tactic. You've learned these lessons. Feminine is treating you with super trepidation. They're not just letting you in. They're just not letting you in. And you understand why. This is either new energy you're approaching and you can see the pain they're carrying. You feel very close to it. You recognize it now. You potentially even understand how, like, in the past, you may have been the culprit of some kind of energy around that as well. But there's this moment that, again, it almost feels so hard because you're effectively feeling like you're trying to articulate to a feminine energy that you are not like that. That you are someone who is in balance, but you're also recognizing how isolating it is to do so, because this is a feminine energy that, again, it almost feels like you're trying to, like, climb a sheer rock face. There's not many footholds because the feminine energy is so trepidatious that they're not creating a lot of points of access to come towards them. So it's almost like creating a bit of a feeling of heartbreak because, like, you learn the lesson now. You know that you're not necessarily trying to come towards them in this way, but you also understand and identify why the feminine energy is so cautious. Masculine energy, again, this is either a new connection that you're trying to move towards that you recognize this in, or this is you trying to repair this with someone who you know that you are the reason that they are like this. That you are recognizing and you're having to take a moment of accountability and saying, I understand why you are so cut off from me. I understand why your guard is up. I understand why you are carrying so much pain. And taking that moment of effectively saying, you know, I'm not going, and again, almost having to potentially say to that energy, I know you feel like I abandoned you at your moment of most deepest need. I'm not going to do that again. That's almost what the masculine energy is effectively saying to the feminine, which is, I know the reason that you carry this pain right now is because you feel like I abandoned you. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to sit with you with this to show you that I am committed to this healing journey. And this is the masculine energy effectively doing this right now, not only to new energy that you're potentially moving towards right now, but to heal past connections that you're holding unhealed karmic energy towards. To say, regardless of how you take it, I want you to know that I am here to heal it. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Three of Swords in combination with our King of Swords. May I please have one card to clarify? Five of Swords. So again, energy that's in partnership right now. Masculine, this is you having to do the cleanup work on other people's mess. Masculine energy in partnership right now, one of the things that you're learning in partnership, because again, feminine is unpacking a lot of trauma around you right now, is this moment that is building a deeper sense of integrity around you right now, because it's observing the pain that the feminine's carrying and feeling like you have to clean up someone else's mess. You're having to go back to the past and you're going to have to do some repair work here. You're standing in your integrity. You're effectively saying in partnership to feminine energy, I am not going to abandon you. I am not going to leave your side. You can show me the pain you're carrying and I'm going to go back and we're going to fix it. I'm going to show you that what happened in the past isn't happening now. Do you see how now the partnered energies and the separation energies are coming back into fold? I want to address the past. I want to observe the pain. And I'm going to show you that I'm not going to walk away from that. I'm going to stand here and we're going to take care of it together. Feminine, you are seeing this right now with the masculine energy that you're in partnership with. You don't have to hide your past from them. In fact, they're asking you to be as open as possible about what's occurred in the past so they can observe where the pain is. And it's like that's where they're going to pour the gold in. Someone effectively here in divine partnership is saying, show me where the cracks are so I can pour gold into them. Show me where the healing needs to be so I know where to concentrate, where to put the love. That is what the divine partnerships are doing for one another. Masculine, you are feeling the confidence of doing so because it's also healing your own heart in the process to do so. It's also allowing you to heal your own past karmic issues. Masculine and feminine energy right now that is coming into partnership at this moment. This is effectively what we are seeing that is happening right now, but it's happening right now with the masculine energy having to affirm to the feminine why the change has happened so suddenly. This is feminine energy going, this isn't what you were like a day ago. This isn't what you were like a week ago. This is something I've been asking for, and suddenly you're here. Suddenly you're offering this. Suddenly you're showing up. The pain of this sudden change is the issue. And this is the masculine effectively saying, I know. I get it. I see it too. I recognize that in the past there was issues, there were imperfections. This is masculine energy effectively saying to the feminine, I recognize why the pain is here, but I'm here now, and and this is the problem. The masculine is now trying to insist to the feminine that they're not going to repeat those mistakes. But it's very hard for them to do so because, again, they have to almost take that accountability for the past and the hardship that it caused to show the feminine that they are not going to do that now. They're trying to basically say now, in partner, trying to come to partnership, I am here now. I am committed to showing you that I am here now. Feminine is feeling the anxiety of accepting the masculine in that way based on the past behavior and what they've seen. So again, this is feeling like a bit of a decision for feminine, that feminine's holding on their decision because they're not sure. They're like feeling completely, in a way, like the rug's been pulled out of the feminine. They're not sure whether to move forward or backward. Feminine energy in separation. This is also feminine in separation, not sure whether to move forward or backward. Feminine's contending with the heart space, having to walk away from something, not because they wanted to, but because they feel they have to, focusing on manifestations of masculine that stand in their integrity, recognizing that they cannot force or convince or explain to a masculine how to do so. They just need to do it. Masculine energy in separation, this is going to feel a lot like the masculine energy that we just identified trying to come into partnership. Again, new energy that you're trying to connect with right now that is almost carrying you're standing up, you're in your integrity in a way you haven't before, and it's painful to do so because, again, you are seeing something in the feminine that either you feel like you have to clean up someone else's mess and carry a heartbreak, but you also understand the heartbreak because you have effectively are learning from yourself. You are seeing yourself from the past before you healed this stuff. You're having to stand in integrity cleaning up someone else's mess, but you also recognize the mess. It's informing you on that past retroactive lesson that you are also learning right now through the experience of the new energy coming towards you that is almost encouraging you and impelling you to do your own set of housekeeping on your own past experiences where you may have created these kind of unhealed karmic energies. Or simultaneously right now, this is masculine energy that is committing themselves to go back to a manifestation of feminine, recognizing why this feminine behaved and reacted the way that they did around some past experiences. Now feeling the weight and the pain and identifying the source and the cause, how you may have been somewhat accountable, and wanting to take accountability and stand in integrity, if only to articulate to that energy and say, I understand what I did. I understand how I hurt you. I want to take accountability for it. And recognizing to a certain extent that all this energy really needs is the accountability of the pain. More than anything is like what is going to allow for some of that healing to occur. Final card for today's spread between our Hermit energy in its reversal and our Five of Swords. May I please have one card to clarify? Knight of Swords. We love to see this right now. For masculine and feminine energy in partnership, this is that moment that we are effectively seeing wherein the masculine is, again, they're seeing the feminine. They're seeing the spaces and places of past trauma with the feminine. They're even seeing spaces and places that the feminine doesn't want to let the masculine in. It's almost spaces and places that feminine hides from the masculine in partnership. And masculine's almost saying to feminine, no, show me those places. Don't hide those places from me. Let me see all of it. You don't have to hide anything from your past from me. In fact, you need to shine a light on them because those are the spaces and places that I want to see more than anything. This is the masculine almost showing the feminine right now, like, I want to see those cracks. I want to see what you think is so bad that would leave me running away from you so that I can show you that that is not the opposite is going to happen. Feminine in partnership right now, this is what you're potentially seeing from the masculine energy. This is a masculine energy that's literally saying, like, those spaces and places that you're saying that you can't show me, show them to me. I'm literally going to prove to you that there's nothing about you that you can show me that would send me running off in the other direction. I'm going to show you how, like, those are the spaces I want to, like, lean into right now. And that's what's building the partnership and the strength of the partnership going forward. That's helping the feminine energy that's feeling that lack of confidence in their own self by finding the support of a masculine that's like, I am here for you in any capacity that you can show it to me. Feminine and masculine that are trying to come into partnership at this moment. This is the masculine, again, rushing in. This is a masculine who brought something in at like the 11th hour here. And again, feminine is showing the masculine right now saying, I'm feeling trepidation and trusting this because of the circumstances. Did you do this because you truly wanted to be here? Or are you rushing in because you thought that you were going to lose me? And the masculine, ironically, is saying to the feminine, yeah, I'm doing this because I thought I was going to lose you. And feminine saying that's not romantic. And the masculine is trying to say, yes, it is. What's more romantic than that? Like, that's the difference between the masculine and the feminine energy experiencing this right now. Feminine's like, you should have just given it to me. It shouldn't have taken you losing me to give it to me. And masculine's like, I can think of nothing more romantic than me giving this to you because I thought that I was going to lose you. Like, this is that like jokiness of the situation right now in terms of masculine trying to insist that, like, that is the case, but that's okay. Like, what's the problem with that? And feminine saying, like, that's the problem. I will also point out, this is very touchy energy today, so making sure this doesn't move into argument space is very important right now, because this could be a lot of, like, frustration expressed here, potentially around past experiences or a lot of direction to past experiences. So make sure that you're letting that conversation be productive and not hostile today. Masculine and feminine energy in separation right now. Again, this is feminine energy that's feeling the frustration of the fact that there's a desire or degree not to want to be alone while they're feeling that assessing of the past, but they're not allowing themselves to go back. The only thing that they're waiting for is for masculine to come after them. Feminine energy does not want to chase after masculine. Feminine's only allowing masculine energy back. That, again, some of this feminine energy just walked away from masculine. Some of this feminine energy is waiting to see if masculine's going to let them walk away. This is a feminine saying they can come to me when they want to come to me, and if not, I'll just look back as I walk away. This is only accepting the masculine coming towards the feminine. Feminine saying there's no other possibility. Absolutely not. Masculine, again, if you're in separation, this is a moment that feels like a bit of a light bulb moment. This is a moment, I need to stress, this is going to be happening potentially right now for masculine energy, not even just if you're trying to come back in union with energy. This is either, again, masculine energy, if this is new energy that you're moving into right now, it's lending light and giving you insight on situations from the past that you did not see in the same way. And this is either allowing you new degrees of moving forward that you haven't done before, new investment in terms of the path ahead that you didn't see clearly in the past. But it's also almost taking a need and a space for recalibration, wanting to come into healing, wanting to fix something that you see now in a way that you didn't see it before, wanting to come into that space of healing something for the sake of healing it, for the sake of your own karma. Bottom of the deck on this reading right now is Nine of Pentacles. So for all energy right now, finding that point of easement today is going to feel like a little bit of a challenge. Masculine and feminine in partnership right now, there is some issue between the difference between what one energy feels comfortable with versus what another does. There could be a lot of conversation right now as to what comfort looks like and how you articulate that and how you create that in the partnership itself. For the energy trying to come into partnership right now, this is that argument we see between the feminine looking to the masculine that's having this change and saying, I'm not comfortable with this. I didn't want you to give this to me feeling like it was under duress. Masculine saying, I'm perfectly fine giving it to you under duress. I think that there's no better way. Well, for masculine and feminine energy right now that is in separation, this is feminine and masculine both trying to find comfort in their own moment. Feminine is, again, they're feeling that feeling of limbo, not wanting to go back to past situations, feeling the anxiety of going into the future, trying to find that space of easement in between. Masculine, this is, if you're going through this right now, This is you coming into alignment with your emotionality, feeling potentially the full weight and effort of what it feels like to carry an unhealed karmic connection. And this is effectively that moment where it's like you're trying to do everything you can to just heal the energy around you at like all costs. Again, regardless of whether it leads to union or partnership or not, you're doing this for the sake of your own peace of mind, which is effectively departed now because something about the place that you find yourself, the things that you're carrying from the past, you're feeling that inability to carry the same way that you could before, now that you're actually acutely feeling and seeing them. That is our daily collective read for today. I want to thank you guys so much for being here and experiencing it with me. Just a reminder, if you would like to book a private reading, you can book one on my website, graystrega.com. My private readings are done over video, and if you are a subscriber to my TikTok, you can take 10% off any of my services when you pay. Just mention your subscriber ID at the point of payment. Please keep in mind, if you book a private reading with me, it is a two-step process. You have to book the reading and you have to pay for the reading. Please make sure you do both if you'd like to have that reading. Most importantly, please remember that I will never, ever, 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 ever reach out to you for a private reading. I will never inbox you. I will never DM you. I will never slide into your PMs and tell you that I have a very important message that only I can deliver. The only way you can book a reading with me is if you book one on my website. So I encourage you to do it there. I want to thank you guys so much for being here with me today and sharing with me in these readings. And we will do this again